If you're starting or growing a nonprofit and finding that your board of directors is feeling a little disengaged or confused about their duties, a special tool used by many nonprofits might help. A board agreement. Board agreements, when created and implemented effectively, can be super useful tools in getting your board members all on the same page and improving board governance and, even fundraising. So in this video, we're going to talk through how to know if your nonprofit could benefit from having a board agreement, the basics of what you might put in a board agreement, and some tips on how to make sure you're using your board agreement effectively. Welcome back. I'm Amber Melanie Smith, nonprofit founder, social entrepreneur, and social impact content creator. Don't forget to check out the rest of my channel. I have hundreds of videos out there to help you in your change-making efforts and journey, whether that's through nonprofits or social entrepreneurship or some other pathway. Also, don't forget to check out my website, changemakercafe.com. It's the website for this channel. I have all sorts of resources on there, like the link to join my newsletter where I send out weekly tips and funding opportunities, and also the link to join my Changemaker Accelerator membership, specifically for people starting and growing nonprofits or social impact organizations. All right, let's get into this here. Before we jump into knowing if a board agreement could be a helpful tool for your nonprofit situation, let's just kind of recap what a board agreement is and what it isn't. A board agreement is usually a short document, we're talking 1 to 2 pages max, hopefully, that outlines the roles and expectations and commitments that board members promise to make as part of their role. It is usually a document that board members will review and sign to sort of represent their commitment, possibly when they're just joining your board. It is not, however, a legally binding contract, okay? So board members are typically volunteers. This is just a way of setting expectations for what you're looking for them to do. So just to clarify, this is different from your bylaws, which is a legal governing document that you submit to the IRS and need to submit anytime you make major updates to it back to the IRS and governing bodies. It's not your bylaws. Your bylaws are your high-level governing document showing how you're going to run the organization, when you're going to have votes, stuff like that. Board agreement might also be separate from documents where you're listing board roles and job descriptions. You could combine them, but they could also be separate documents. Let's talk about a checklist that you can review to think about if a board agreement could be helpful for your organization at this time. 1, if board members seem to be unclear about what is expected of them. 2, if fundraising expectations or goals aren't being met and the board is supposed to be helping with fundraising, of course. It's a helpful tool if you're bringing in new board members who are going to want to understand what they're getting into, what they're signing up to be a part of. It can be a great tool following a major organizational shift, like maybe you have a new leader in place or you're about to alter your mission or scope of work or something like that. This could be sort of a way of setting new expectations for the next phase. And finally, just in general, board agreements are a good idea to set standards for attendance and participation and stuff like that. There's kind of a joke in the nonprofit world that you're going to have 20% or 30% of board members very active and the rest are going to be like somewhat dormant. That's not always the case. Board members, don't yell at me, but it's a common joke that I've heard before. So the board agreement can help make it so that all of them are 100% active in the same ways, hopefully. Again, it's a really helpful document because it can provide a lot of clarity. It can help you avoid surprises if the board member thought they didn't have to do one thing, but you thought they did have to do that thing, and then there's an argument about that. It can really nip that in the bud, and it can reinforce that accountability. So these would be the benefits of having a board agreement. Let's talk on a high level about what you might include in a board agreement document. Like I said, board agreements they can include what you want them to include, but my advice is to keep them as short and simple as possible. You want board members to feel empowered by a board agreement. It helps them feel more clear on their responsibilities. You don't want them to feel like, oh, I have to read this 10-page document and agree to all these things. That can be a drag. It's common for board agreements to include requested commitments in a number of categories, such as how they're going to help with community outreach and raising awareness in the public about your mission, how they're going to serve as engaged members of any board committees that you might have. Fundraising, this is a huge one. Many board agreements that I've seen outline expectations for fundraising that the board's going to help with. And fourth, board governance expectations. So how they need to be prepared before meetings, read materials, actively participate, ask good questions, stuff like that. A common format you might see is a brief sort of introductory couple of sentences at the top of the board agreement explaining this is a board agreement. The purpose is to create standards of behavior, blah, blah, blah. Come up with something that sounds like your organization's voice, not mine or not a lawyer's, but you know what I mean. So it's going to have that explainer text at the top, and then you're going to get into the commitment requests. Now, sometimes this could be a choose your own adventure situation where you're asking board members to choose 3 of the list of 10 options, or it could be you want them to check the box and say they're going to commit to doing all of those things. I like the choose your own adventure method also because it helps them think about their own skill sets and their own networks and what they bring to the table uniquely as board members, and lets them pick what they think they're going to be most excited about. And that's going to lead to higher success rates of actually doing those things. I made this overly simple example to show you what some of the things on a board agreement might be, but you can reference the graphic as I'm talking through these. It might include a commitment to attend a certain percentage of the board meetings each year. You know, we know things happen. They might have scheduling conflicts, but they need to at least attend 75% of the board meetings, something like that. A governance commitment where they agree to do their due diligence and read all the materials before board meetings so they can come prepared to those meetings. Fundraising expectations like donating a certain amount of money from their own pocket to the organization or going out and raising that amount of money each year. This is sometimes called a give and get or give or get policy where, you know, you don't have to give the money yourself, but you do have to go raise that amount of money. Either way, the money's getting to the organization. Maybe it's an agreement to host a special event on behalf of the organization. And of course, and this one should be a box everyone checks, but a commitment to disclose any conflicts of interest and act ethically on behalf of the organization. You, as a board member, are a representative of the cause, and you've got to be beyond reproach. By the way, chocolate rooibos, highly recommend. Rooibos, did I say that correctly? Rooibos? Tell me how to spell it. Tell me how to say it in the comments if I'm saying it wrong. One thing that's gonna really help you and your board with that fundraising piece is having a solid fundraising platform that's gonna allow you to collect, track, and grow your funding. And that's where the sponsor of this video, Click and Pledge, can help. Click and Pledge is a comprehensive fundraising platform that's great for organizations who are ready to grow their fundraising. Some of their many features include text to give, so you can get your folks to submit their donations via text. Peer-to-peer fundraising, always a really important one. Peer-to-peer is so effective when done correctly. It's getting your supporters out there raising money on behalf of your cause. Then you've got video fundraising with donation links embedded right in the videos, so someone who's inspired watching your content can click right there to make their donation. You've got personalized donor thank you messages and videos to help keep your donors happy and continuing to give. A complete Salesforce integration and other integrations and a lot more. Here's the deal. Some fundraising platforms are going to charge more money the more your organization grows, the more donors that you get. Not Click and Pledge. They have one flat rate, a very affordable rate that you pay regardless of the size of your organization. And there are no contracts, and all of their features are included for that flat fee. You can learn more about Click and Pledge's fundraising solutions and even get your first month free scanning the QR code here, or schedule a demo with their team using the link below this video. I'm going to leave all that information below, but I highly encourage you to go check them out and see if they might be a good fit for your organization. Thanks again to Click and Pledge for sponsoring this video. By now, hopefully you're feeling very motivated and excited to get a board agreement going to help push your organization's mission forward. So before I send you off, let's cover some quick tips for making sure that your board agreement is going to be implemented effectively. If you don't have a board agreement already for your organization, one tip is to think about creating that first one collaboratively with your board of directors. This can potentially help them feel like they're part of the process and like they're holding themselves accountable rather than merely living up to the expectations of a founder or the CEO or the staff. My next tip is to make sure that the roles and responsibilities for your board officers, those special positions like chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, that those are written out separately, perhaps in your board job descriptions, because as officers of the organization, they might include some additional expectations that they need to fulfill as part of those roles. Third, you might consider using a template, but then customizing it to your organization's unique needs. And all organizations are different. You can find a ton of free example templates online by simply searching for nonprofit board agreement examples. And my fourth and final tip is to use that board agreement as a recruitment tool and during your board member onboarding process. People want to know, what are they signing up for? What's going to be expected of them? If you recruit someone and approve them to join your board without them knowing and fully understanding those expectations, you might find that there's a disconnect, there's resentment, or there's confusion that leads to lower engagement down the road. I'd love to hear your thoughts on if you think a board agreement is the right thing for your organization at this time, or if you already have one, I'm curious, how has it worked out for you? What would you do differently if you had to start all over again? Share all your thoughts in the comments below. Like I said, I have a ton of other videos about boards and nonprofit fundraising and social entrepreneurship on my channel, so please feel free to check those out. They're free, they're up there for you. I'm here to help you in your journey as a change maker, so check those out. And again, my website, changemakercafe.com, has more resources for you, like my newsletter and my Changemaker Accelerator program. Hope those resources are helpful for you as well. Once again, I'm Amber Melanie Smith, and I'll see you next time.